Hello.
There you are.
I am doing a live, obviously, with there's Elizabeth Cinquini has joined. She
Hi.
sent me a request. That's what I love about her, because like she knows I'm technologically challenged.
We're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Hey, Elizabeth. So we got a
Hi.
design tea
Morning.
going. Hi, guys. What are we gonna talk about today? Well, you ever felt like a failure? There, that's it. I said it. I put it out there. I feel like a failure. It always, when you have a business, it never goes right. The things don't go the way you want them to, and you feel like a failure. There's good things, but why do we focus on the bad things? We got to focus on the things that we don't have.
So what's going on? What happened?
Well, basically, I finished up a bunch of big projects that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. We did a photo shoot last week
Good.
on this mid-century modern place. It looks
I
so good.
love that one. It looks so good.
Oh, it looks so good.
It
I mean,
looks awesome.
yeah, there's
I
a lot
love
of
that.
them. It's a good
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And they have these two, I forget what kind of cats. They have two cats and a dog.
Okay.
The cats, beautiful. And we managed to get them in the photos, like just perfect. I
Oh,
was fiddling with the coffee table books. I'm like, coffee table books, they're not right. They're not right.
yeah.
And you know how you get, right? So I made this kind of space. I split them up instead of one, two, three, made a space, boom. This cat jumps right into that space that I make with books and sits there like perfect, perfect.
Oh, that's
Like,
good.
yeah, it was, I don't know why, but just adding
Yeah.
putting, it just has this like feeling that someone lives in the space versus,
Well, that's good. So you were on a high last week. You had like this really good thing happening with the photo
mm-hmm,
shoot. That's always like the high point, right? Because the project's over, you're photographing it, and it's like, oh my God,
mm-hmm.
it's a relief. And then after that, it's like, okay, what's
Maybe
next?
that's it.
That's
Well, that's it.
probably it.
It
Yeah.
has to be what's next.
Because
So
it was such a
then,
good project and you want another one that's just like that, and now you may have to wait a little bit to get it. I always say like there's the highs and lows of when you have your own business, especially in this business, and the highs are really high, but the low can be really low
yeah,
too. So
right. Well, it's that also that constant because even when you're doing the
see, you're not
project,
a failure. You're
I
just
know. Thank you,
that's
talking
the way it
bee.
is
Thank
for
you.
anything. Yeah.
I know I'm not a failure, but while you're in the project, you're working on the
Yeah.
project, you also have to be marketing and looking for the next clients that you can help and service because I know that I can make anybody's home like
Yeah.
100% better. Like,
Yeah, of course.
and not even like I don't even need to go and buy expensive stuff, although that is, helpful.
Fun.
Yeah, helpful and fun.
Yeah.
But
But
I
it's also
was
too like finding the right, the right project, the right client, the right, like
right that we
there's
grew.
criteria, right?
Yeah. So that we're on like the same page too,
Yeah.
because you can also get into projects where, you're not seeing eye to eye, just for whatever personality. Sometimes it's
Right.
personality, sometimes it's just it's not a good fit, or maybe you just haven't
Yeah.
understood their needs. Although that's very unusual for me not to understand their needs, but
Well, I don't really think it's not understanding their needs. It's about they have a different way of working as far as, like some clients
that's
want to
it.
shop you, some clients want to
Right.
look for like the cheapest thing and like interfere in the process. Like having our process is important of how we work. So,
Yes.
if they don't respect the boundaries and they don't respect the process or, calling and texting all times of the night and on weekends, like there has to be a mutual respect of how
Mhm.
we work that the client, and that's mutual, right?
Right.
Responding to us when we, need answers on something or approvals, and same thing with them, like when they ask that, we need to respond to them. So it's just, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And sometimes, certain scenarios are just not the right fit. I mean, I have that happen all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right.
And I
Um,
think like this is the way I feel because I know like especially this year, the past couple of months, like obviously things have slowed down for sure. I mean, most businesses are feeling that, but I feel like it's even more important when you're in that kind of like low point, not to, and people may disagree with me, but not to just take projects because I feel like they're a distraction and they're not going to make room for the right projects. If you kind of just fill your calendar with like stuff that maybe is too small or not the client's not the right fit, but you're
Right.
just taking it to get an income. I feel like it,
Well, that can go awry, I
yeah,
think, sometimes.
exactly.
Although, I don't mind small projects. Like I do, although I've slowed down and doing it, something called the do it yourself. And it's a 2.5 hours. I go into their home.
Yeah.
We're just using existing furnishings, whatever is there, because people
Yeah.
always have stuff over here, nefarious stuff. But even if they don't, it's using their stuff and reimagining the space, like pushing this over here, move this over here. I just did it recently for this woman. She had all the furniture, she had the art. It just felt like the pieces were just not disconnected because it just wasn't laid out properly. It was a lot of fun because in 2.5 hours, boom,
Yeah.
formative, like so many things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So those kind of projects are fun too. But I agree. I guess where it gets tough is when I have a plan
Hmm.
and that plan is so necessary to follow in order to, and I've been talking about this. I did an event last week and I talked about this too. Number one thing is plan. Take your vision, have your vision, and then plan out how that division, like every single step. And every step should go back to that vision. Every step goes back to that vision. And if that step, every piece of it doesn't make sense in the vision, I don't know, say you want a beachy theme and you start putting in bright reds and yellows, although I don't think it's so bad, but it's kind of the way you do it. It's
Yeah.
obviously the way it's done. But the choices are made are making it feel like a moody speakeasy.
Hmm.
Well, you're not going to end up with your vision. You're going to end up with a mishmash of a beachy speakeasy with
Yeah.
right? So I was thinking about this plan, about going back to vision and plan, because that's when I get lost in a project,
Hmm.
not lost, but there's so many options. I go back to what is a vision, and then what steps do I need to take to get there? But how do you get to your vision for a client?
The overall.
Because that's hard to put into words how
Yeah.
you find the client's vision.
Yeah. I think for me is I do like my detailed conversation with them, ask them all the questions, find out about their life. We do that deep dive. And then from talking to them, get a good sense of what they do like and what they're trying to achieve. And then I'll just start looking for inspiration. A lot of inspirational photos that I could send them to see if we're on the right track. But I feel like for me, the design really always starts with like one key element that I find that I'm like, this is it. And I kind of build around that,
So it could
you
be
know?
something they have or something that after
Yeah,
time you find
right.
and then you're like, oh, that kind of sets the
Sets the tone. And yes. So for
direction.
me, there's always like that one anchor point. Like maybe it's a built-in or like custom
Right,
millwork
Leslie.
or a piece of furniture. Like there's always something. And then I build around that. So that's what I do.
It's finding that one piece.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't find it difficult to create the client's vision in my head.
Hmm. Well, because once you get that like starting point, I feel like it kind of just flows.
Mm-hmm.
And like
True.
yesterday, I was just looking like through wallpaper books yesterday. I mean, and it's like this with most pieces. I just kind of like go through the pages and I know right away, like, I like this, I like
Uh,
that. And I was with my business partner and we had like 10 books out. And
that's
I'm just
cool.
like, no, 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 no. And then
Yeah,
I pick out like, no, these are 3 or 4, these could work.
yeah.
But
It's
it's
true.
just
You
like
can
instant.
easily eliminate stuff. Like you just
Yeah. It's
no,
just
no,
like
no,
you
no,
know
no, 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 no.
exactly like
Yeah,
what you like and what will work. And I
yeah.
don't know. That's just the design brain. So I don't question
It
it too
is.
much. I just try to really go with my instincts and my gut
Yeah.
on what like feels right.
Well, that's true. It is this instinctual,
Yeah.
intuitive
And you
piece,
either because if you have it, it makes being an interior designer much easier
right?
than if you don't. It's more of a struggle.
Well, I think you can develop it. You can
Yeah.
develop your
But it's
intuition,
way
your
easier
intuition.
if you just
If
have
you,
that
yeah,
like
it
instinct.
definitely is.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes from listening,
Yeah.
listening to who you're trying to help. Like, what are their needs? What are their wants? That's
Exactly. And it's how you interpret it, right? Everyone's going
right.
to interpret it different
Exactly.
and that's where the connection comes in too between you and the client.
Right. Well, because there's
like
not just one path. There's not
right.
just one path to get that vision. There's a bunch of different paths. And that is the path is dictated by a couple of things. One is their needs. The vision is here, but it's also their needs. If they have a child in a wheelchair, for instance, that's definitely going to change your path of how to get to that final vision because you have to take into consideration. I mean, that's, I'm not going to say extreme, but that is, something that you can't ignore.
Hmm.
And then the other thing is their budget. You can't ignore that because
Yeah.
it's really frustrating, not just for the client, I'm sure, but for us as designers when you're selecting product and selecting pieces and creating the vision and it's outside their scope of budget,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
they've said you're going to spend 40,000 and you're up at 120. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
or even 60.
that's what I think too. I mean, I don't know how you do it, but for me, like, I mean, of course, over the years, like we change our process and how we do this, but now I just want to have a budget for the entire project, or if it's one room, the room. And this is why, because I don't want to break down, well, this chair costs this and this costs that, because based on the overall amount of money there is to spend, then I'm going to decide like where to invest versus where to splurge, like really how to maximize it. And so this came into play the other day because, we're trying to do this new showroom space and it's based on what we can get pricing for certain items, then maybe we can save here. We can spend a little bit more there. And that's just something that is part of our process. So
Right.
I don't want to have to break down those costs because then it messes up the overall scheme of the room,
Right. Oh
you
yeah.
know?
I hear you.
So,
I
and I feel like as
definitely, yeah,
designers, everyone prices differently and you change your
sure. You
process a
change it
million
as you're
times.
walking. Yeah, sure.
But I feel like the more experienced you get, that's really the best way to do it.
I definitely talk immediately with the client before signing them on what their budget is because otherwise it can be such a losing project. You're already starting off on the wrong foot when I have in my mind this number and they have this number. And sometimes there is no in between. Like they're set on 20,000 for the room and or whatever the space and you know that there's absolutely no way to do it for 20,000. I mean this you have
Right.
an empty, let's just say an empty living room,
Yeah.
20 by 30
Yeah.
for $20,000, I can't do it. Like you're not utilizing the best of you working with an interior designer, the reasons for working with an interior designer. Yes, you can go and you can find stuff on
And that's
Marketplace
where the
or
the
whatever.
um the DIY package maybe comes in for that client. But like full
Right.
service is a luxury service because
Yeah.
we're sourcing, we're designing, and I think clients don't understand too the whole execution part of it, the logistics, the ordering, the deliveries, the
Yeah.
returns, the damages, the just all the logistics. Like that's not free, that's part of full service and we have to be compensated for that. So,
Yeah. Well, it becomes, I think, probably once I get the design vision and the few select pieces that are setting that vision,
yeah.
the rest is, I wouldn't say work, but that's the creative part, right? Now it's okay, where have I seen something that's going to work for this space? Vendors can I use that are going to create the kind of space that I want? Now I'm
Yeah.
started doing, like, I would say the business part. Really, like 20% is creative, and then the rest is okay, all of my knowledge, my expertise, my understanding of product, my product knowledge, etc. All of that comes into play. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
where do I go to create this? Who am I going to use? What products from where I need lighting? For
Hmm.
this vision, this is the place to go. I'm pretty sure I can find what I want there, or there's something there that I've seen. And
Yeah.
that, because I've already had the vision. Now I just have to create. I already can see the whole room, see the
Yeah.
space. Okay, now how do I get this
Yeah.
out
And a
there?
lot of times the clients just think furnishings as far as the budget, right? But a big part of bringing the room together, you got to think about, are we repainting in here? Wallpaper,
Boring.
wallpaper is huge. Window treatments.
Yep.
So those pieces
Ceiling has to be
alone,
clean. Ceiling, I'm totally
exactly.
serious. The lighting. You could,
Exactly.
how many rooms? I mean, I live in Jersey, you're in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think the difference. I think New Jersey are old homes. 70% of the homes are old, and most of them don't have overhead lighting. So you walk
Right.
into a room and you're not going to be able to flip a switch, which
Right.
can decrease the use of that room because it becomes, especially in winter, like in the summer, nobody
Right.
cares, but in the
Yeah.
winter, it's dark and you're like, oh God, I can't go in. I don't want to be in that room because like I got to fiddle my way over to the corner to find the lamp to turn it on. And then like when I get out, I got to turn it off and fiddle, like I'll just sit in the
Yeah.
kitchen, you know? Yeah, I know because I lived in a house like that. I lived in a 1920s Tudor, and they
Yeah.
were when I bought it, I was only the second owner, and they hadn't put any of those. I wouldn't even say technology, but
Yeah.
every single room you couldn't walk into a room except for the kitchen and hit a switch.
An
And
overhead light. Yeah. I had a house in New York that was like that too. It was built in 1923. So when we
right,
first moved in, it didn't have any overhead light, in which we, renovated and
okay,
slowly
yeah.
added over time. But yeah.
So, but those things are important because you can put all these beautiful things and create the whole, the walls and the ceiling, and then you're not going to use it because the lighting is insufficient. It's
Right.
just uncomfortable to be in the space. And it's not going to fill your needs. And you can't sit there and read. You can't do any work. You can't really see if you're going in for closets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
all those elements are so important in the creation of a space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, someone is asking, can you address how you choose art? When do you choose a print and when do you choose an original?
Great question, Kyra. Thank
Yeah,
you so
that's a
much.
great
Appreciate it.
question. One thing is it's going to depend on their budget, obviously. I love to use original in a living room or making, somewhere that's really a statement wall. And
Right.
if the client can afford original, I mean, it just looks so rich. But also,
Right.
too, if it's not original, like sometimes it's cool to create a gallery wall. I mean, I love gallery walls. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can use them. And when I do gallery walls, I like to use a mix of like prints and canvas and even sculptural
Right. Mixed
objects,
photographs. Yeah.
photographs. Yeah, and I mix them and those are fun and you can do that fairly inexpensive. What do you think,
Yeah.
Risha?
Yeah, I agree. Art is so, I have to really know my clients. And I
Hmm.
help this, I just did a photo shoot last week, like I was saying, and they had lots of art, original art, some prints, but they wanted a few more pieces. So I have a bunch of relationships with galleries, and I thought about the gallery that carries that style of art that would really impact them.
Yeah.
Plus, at the budget that they would feel comfortable. And so I looked at in their archives what they had, and I've pulled out some pieces, and then I took them with me. We had that luxury of doing that,
Yeah.
and we went through and they picked some art. But with me being there, it was also like, okay, they like this art, but where are you
Yeah.
going to put it? Like,
Right.
where were you thinking? Because I know where the walls are and how big they're going to need. And yeah, you can buy art, and sometimes it's just too small for that wall. So then
Yeah,
where do you
you
put
have
it?
to know your sizing
Yeah,
first. And what I've done for projects is, like you said, I'll reach out to an art gallery that carries a bunch of different artists. Sometimes I'll say like, okay, this is the inspiration for the room, give them some colors, some overall, like a few different criteria. And then I'll have them send me some options in the price
right,
point that I can
right,
present to my clients. And I've gotten art from all over the world. It just
right,
depends on the artist and then we have it shipped in. But yeah.
right. And
Art
it just
galleries are a great resource.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And prints are great because although, once well, there are less expensive prints, but some of some prints can start to get
Some are,
expensive because
yeah, they're
it's
pricey.
not the print
It's
necessarily, but
the
it can be the
matting and
print,
the framing
the
and
framing, etc.
and
starts
you
to
want to
get
have a good frame. That's what I always say. Like even if you're gonna do like a less expensive art or a gallery wall, get good frames. So like I've
yeah,
ordered prints and then I've had them framed, but sometimes it doesn't even have to be a custom framing from a custom framer. Like you can buy a frame, but you just got to make sure it's good quality.
yeah, it's good quality, it's well
Yeah.
framed.
And
And
like
that
the seams aren't separating. That's how you can tell cheap frames.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And the frame is going to elevate the art. It's incredible what a
100%.
difference. And if you have a good framer,
Yeah.
and I always defer to the framer because there are thousands of
Oh,
frame
oh
shapes
my
and
God.
colors, et cetera, right? So many options. They
Yeah.
have much better product understanding and what's available. And they usually have, I mean, the framers that I've used never steered me wrong. And they have a good eye for pairing the art with the frame, and
Yep.
then taking into consideration what's the style of the room. Like, is it
Yeah.
mid-century modern? Is it more traditional space? Is the look that you're trying to achieve? So with the print, you can take a maybe a much more modern abstract piece of art, frame
Mhm.
it in a very heavy Baroque
Mhm.
frame, and it fits into your traditional space because you're kind of have this juxtaposition between the art and the frame and the space. So it all ties together. It's all those points to take into consideration, not just, but most importantly though, is does the client like the art? That's what I say. Because unless you know about art and investing
Mhm.
thousands of dollars into art, the number
Yeah.
one reason you should pick art of any kind,
Mhm.
photography, print, whatever, is you love it. You go, I love
And
it.
you'll know because they'll look at it right away, and you know if you like it or you don't. Like
It's
that's how
got
it
to
is with
create
art.
some
It's instant.
right. There's some
Yeah.
emotional connection to it.
If they're like on the fence about it, then it's a no. They
It's
have
a
to
no.
like instantly love it. And I like to mix different frames. Like if I'm doing a gallery wall, like I love to mix like maybe a super simple frame
Right.
with like a more ornate frame. It just gives it more character. So
Oops.
it could be really fun to just play around with different types of art and gallery walls.
Yeah, art is fun. Art is like the
Yes.
little jewels
Yes.
on. And then you have to look at Kyra. We just could go on and on, but art. But got this art for my clients. I just did the photo shoot. They hung the art. What I suggested is in Jersey there's a lot of old homes, so they have picture rails, which are fantastic. But
Mm.
Stas, which is probably the premier picture rail like manufacturer, they also produce a picture rail which in different shapes. And so I told them, because they have an old home, instead of banging holes in the wall, because they have lots of art and they want to be able to flip it out, we put a very thin Stas rail up right underneath the
Okay.
crown molding. Can't
Okay.
see it. And that allows them to choose their art, like, and flip it out.
Okay.
So when they put in their, I did this, they want to, they like some doing a little do-it-yourself project. So they put in the Stats art project. And then I went in and I said, okay, let's look at the art and they hung art because of course they were like, I gotta hang art as soon as possible. I'm like, perfect. So they go, they hung it too high. Like every single
Yeah.
piece was hung too high. So
Okay.
something to look at. I believe you should look at the art at eye level. I hate art that's up high. It feels like you're in a doctor's office. That's my worst thing.
Or
Uh,
when it's too small and it's like floating on this big wall.
yes,
It looks ridiculous.
right. Yeah. And you don't need to worry about light switches and stuff. People say, well, the light switch, I've got to put it between the light switch. In fact, you don't need to worry about that because what happens when you take a piece of art and say you have a space between the door frame and the end wall, and the light switch comes off about a foot, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I got to get it between the light switch. No, you get it between the door frame and the end wall, and the light switch is just going to disappear. Like
Hmm.
when you hang
Yeah.
it inside and you
Right.
totally
It has to be
disregard.
centered on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and low so that you can see it. Every single piece that they had hung, I went, lowered it lower, lower, lower.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this was a great thing about Stas. I should be like what's that? I should
Maybe
be,
you can get a sponsorship
I
deal.
should be, yeah, exactly. For Stas.
So they didn't have a million holes in the wall that you had to like redo.
Exactly. And we were able to like boom, bring it down, bring it
Mhm.
down, bring it down. Right then
Okay.
and there, we didn't have to.
There we go.
Kevin online is saying if you need art for your awesome interiors, keep me in mind. Kevin, I have to go check you out. Thanks for joining us. And happy energy. We like that happy energy. Thanks for joining us this morning. Just talking about business, but then we got into art. Now,
Yeah.
now we can't stop.
So
Art. Okay,
new
so talk
space.
about your showroom. Tell us what's going on. What is going on? Tell us.
Yeah, so the showroom project came up, I think it's almost 3 weeks ago now. Very,
Crazy, right?
very last minute impulsive decision, but we decided to open up a design house here in Naples, Florida. So we got the space. We got the keys about 2 weeks ago, and so now we did demo yesterday. Took some walls down. I think it was like a sterile law office before. It's just like white
Oh,
walls, gray carpet, and we have the white gridded ceiling tiles from like the 80s.
yeah, super.
That's what's there. So it's a complete blank slate. So it's fun though. So we did the demo yesterday. Obviously, the landlord doesn't want us to rip down the ceiling and drywall, so we kind of have to keep it. But I think we're gonna just spray paint the whole ceiling like a matte black so it disappears and you don't
Yeah,
even see it.
that's a good idea.
So we're working on that now. So painting will be next, and just really bringing in all the vendors, because we're going to focus mostly on custom millwork because my business partner, her and her husband have a custom millwork shop here in Florida. So they manufacture everything right here in Naples. So we can really actually do custom cabinetry, kitchens, bars, built-ins, basically anything, wine rooms. So the way the showroom is going to be set up, it's going to be like a house. So we're going to have a kitchen, a dining area, living area. So all of the rooms will have built-ins,
Oh,
like an
cool. Yeah,
entertainment
yeah, yeah.
center, a bar area. We're doing this really cool islands that's going to be a little bit organic shaped to show curves because, we can cut the wood, just showing all the
Sure.
different capabilities. So
Fantastic.
now it's just, yeah, like finalizing layouts, the drawings, sizing, selecting all the finishes. We're going to show obviously like white oak because everyone loves that. I love white oak, but also I love walnut. So we're going to have some pieces featuring
Love all that.
walnut. Yeah.
Right.
Just to show like different woods, different colors. And you know me, I like color and texture. So the showroom will be full of that. We're not going to have just like white cabinetry everywhere. Every piece will be a different color and integration of woods. We'll have different door styles. So I'm excited to see it all come together. Just so much work.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's like,
It's a house.
designing a house. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
exactly.
so fun. So
But
many
it's fun.
choices.
Yeah.
So that being said, like you are kind of creating this house space
Yes.
for people, but not for necessarily for a client. So how did you create your vision for that? Because we talked about how you create a vision and it's talking
Yeah.
about client, their needs and stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So, I mean, for this one, basically, like a lot of the showrooms here in Naples are very coastal. So everything is white, blue, gray. Like, it's not my style at all. So I knew I wanted it to be completely different from that. So I wanted it to be colorful and have personality. So we just sat down. Obviously, I like brass, so we'll be incorporating that. I feel like the kitchen kind of came together really simply. We knew we wanted to use white oak. We're going to use some black cabinetry and pop it with like some brass. We're going to do like some brass metal door. I know I wanted to use like different colors and different finishes, so it's just really a matter of like putting it all together.
So it's kind of so your vision you got to because you're like, okay, how can we show our best work, our best capabilities, and the variety
Exactly.
so that doesn't become a mishmash.
Right.
You
Exactly. Because we
like,
want to show like different style of doors
right,
that we can do.
right,
Some things will, like we're going to do our bar unit and it'll probably be arched instead of
right,
square because, we want to show arch. So yeah, it's just a matter of how to put it all together. So exactly. It looks curated.
right. It doesn't look like,
Exactly.
show homes do that.
Yeah.
Where they've got 20 different designers, every room looks completely different,
Right.
drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a,
Yeah.
but,
But I feel
yeah,
like too, like my vision and my style is like distinctive.
yeah. So basically, you're gonna move into this place because you'll have created it like a house for you.
I know. Yes.
Great. No, I love it. It sounds
Yeah.
great. So you have to like show us the progress. You got progress photos. We love those. We can see that. Watch your progress. We're so happy for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it on my Instagram at elizabethcinquini. I'll be showing you the progress. Yeah, we just started, but it's hard. Like meeting with all the different vendors and who we're gonna be bringing in as our partners and working with. So it's fun, but like now's the point where it's like stressful because like we have all these open conversations and we're just kind of waiting for like, okay, definitely who's on board, like what are we gonna get as far as product, and so it's a little stressful. But I will say, going back to what we started talking about from the beginning when you were talking about like failure in business and how I was saying like you kind of this is the way I feel. You have to say no in order to get the right yeses. I'm a big believer in that. And so for the first couple months of, I would say the spring of 2025, I was really just focused on figuring out like what is the next step for me, like in my business. And I knew that I wanted a partnership and I wanted my own space, but I didn't know how that was going to come about. But it was just something that I was determined to manifest. And then I didn't get distracted by taking clients that weren't the right fit, going to events that I didn't want to go to. I just kind of stepped back for a little bit and focused on, okay, what do I want? What's the next step? I'm a big like manifester. So then I went to Italy in June, really like meditated on it and came back, and this opportunity came out of nowhere, literally.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I was back from Italy for a couple days. I met with my business partner, Cassandra, and we were having coffee and she was like, I have this idea to do it like a design house. Do you want to do it together? And I was like, oh my God, yes. Like I literally have been talking about this in my head for months.
Right.
And so I just feel everything happens. Your mindset literally can make anything you want happen. What you focus on is what is going to happen. So if you're going to be thinking about like opportunities and expansion and like all good things and really have a clear direction, you can manifest that.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We're here every Tuesday. We go live on Instagram, and we're talking about, we call it Design Tea, which is the messy middle of the design business, and not just design ideas and thoughts, but also the business part of it, because the business part is a lot.
It's tough.
Yeah. So you can catch us live. We're trying to upload these videos to YouTube, and you can join us and check out the next video up here. And love to hear if you subscribe if you like this video, or put something in the comments saying how much you love us.